you? Hope you're good. In this video and the next two videos, I'll be sharing with you my top tips to help you thrive as a mom. We all know that raising children is no walk in the park, as we say back in my home country, Nigeria. No be small thing. I've been a mom for over 20 years. I'm also a qualified teacher here in the UK. And over the last 2 decades or so, I've worked full-time for the most part. So I've had a lot of challenges as a parent, as you can imagine, but thankfully, a lot of victories as well. I'm going to share some of the tips that I've learned in the last 2 decades with you in the hope that you can increase in confidence as a mom, or as I like to say, to parent with swag. Make sure you stick around though till the end. I've got 3 videos, 9 tips for you. My very last tip I have saved till the last because it's my toppest tip, if you like, and it underpins all the rest of them. So stick around till the end of the 3rd video. Be intentional. Be an intentional mom. Plan. As moms, we're good at this, at planning, organizing. We plan the children's diaries, the family schedules, the children's play dates. So some of their social calendars are way more packed than mine. And we have those schedules on our fridges. We plan anyway, but be intentional about what you want to achieve. If you make a list, your daily list, decide what's important and what's urgent. So apart from the daily lists, I keep a journal. I'm blessed to have kept a journal for many years. I think since my son was a toddler or even before. I remember I got it as a gift. I got my first journal as a gift from my big sis when she found out I was expecting my first child. And so she said, oh, here you go, write down your dreams and hopes for your child. And I remember jotting down, his proposed names for him. So I do keep a journal. At the start of every year, I write down what I call my GHDs, my goals, hopes, and dreams. I write my GHDs for the year and I track them throughout the year in my journal. So it might be something that works for you. Journaling, I would highly recommend. You may not realize this, but you are an influencer. You are. You may not have a YouTube channel like I do, but you are an influencer. You're the greatest, or at least one of the most important influencers in your children's lives. I was recently listening to one of my favorite comedians. He's a Christian comedian called Ted Cunningham. He's so funny. You should check out some of his YouTube videos. But he was saying about raising children and the fact that we have an enormous amount of impact on our children. They see everything that we do. They hear everything. And they remember everything, or at least a lot of it. So that's not to put a lot of pressure on us. And they repeat everything, or at least what they remember. Like I said, it's not to put a lot of pressure on us, but to remind you, to encourage you to be intentional about raising your children and the impact that you have on them. For me, my children, I always taught them to be intentional about being a blessing, especially in their teenage years. They'd walk past things on the floor, shoes on the floor, walk past. I always said to them, when I walk into a room and I leave, I want everybody to know that I've been there in that room. I want to be an influencer. I want to see that positive impact that I had on the room. So I take the shoes, put them away, wipe the kitchen surfaces. Whenever I'm at home, the children know, mom's been there. So you are an influencer. And because, I'm a teacher, like I said, I'm very aware of this influencer responsibility and privilege that we have as moms. Don't take it lightly. So tip number 1, be intentional. Plan, track. Practice gratitude. Be thankful, be grateful. For me, this one is one of the most important things in my daily life. It's something I do with pleasure. Wake up in the morning, first thing I can think of is just being grateful to God for a new day. Since COVID, just breathing, I don't take for granted. I thank God for the breath in my lungs. Be thankful for the big things, absolutely, but also the little everyday things. For me, I was very grateful and delighted when my son got onto the Dyson undergraduate apprenticeship program. And I was ecstatic, of course, when my daughter got into Cambridge. So I'm really thankful for the big things, of course, but the little things as well. The other day I noticed some spring flowers in the back garden, and my dreary garden, which suffered throughout the winter, suddenly started looking more beautiful. I got in my car the other day from work. I left at about 5 o'clock, and I just noticed, oh, it's still bright, not dark. Ooh, the days are getting longer, thank God. So thank God for the big things and the little everyday things. As moms, life can get really, really busy. You're ultra loud. On a super stressful day, stop. Just for a moment. Breathe. Give thanks. Practice mindfulness, being in the moment and just being aware of your current space. Again, I said I keep a journal, and in my journal, I write my CMBs. I call them CMBs. It stands for Count My Blessings. Every month, I track my CMBs. What am I particularly grateful for? I count my blessings against my GHGs. How am I getting on? What am I thankful for? So keeping a journal, again, I would advocate, but it doesn't work for everybody. It works for me. Tip number 2, practice gratitude. Communicate in your child's love language. I think this one's really important. Really important to all relationships, not just your relationships with your children. Your relationship with your husband, with your, partner, what have you. And it's all started when I got a book from my sister. Yes, I have a large family. I love it. My sister gave me this book titled The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman. I'll put a link in the description. Dr. Chapman talks about the 5 main ways in which humans perceive love, the way that we receive love and express love. And if you know what, he calls them the love languages, if you know what the person's primary love language is, then you'll be more effective at communicating love to them. And so knowing your child's primary love language is very important, because it means that you can be effective in how you communicate your love to them. 5 languages, if I remember, are quality time, acts of service, words of affirmation, receiving gifts, and physical touch. They have a website where you can take a quiz to determine what your primary love language is, or that of your child or spouse or what have you. Every child is different, right? And so if you know that this child, touch is very important to that child, then you can communicate to them in that way. They might even be teenagers, young adults. For one child, just putting an arm around the child is that much more, expressive to them. In the book, actually, Dr. Chapman talked about a couple in his office. They came to see him. He's a counselor, and the husband was complaining. This wife, he doesn't know what else to do with her. She always says, "You don't love me." And I spend all this money. I work so hard so I can bring money to the family. And she says, "Well, I don't think you love me. Yes, you buy all these expensive gifts. We live in a huge house, but you don't spend any time." All the wife wanted was just to spend some quality time on the sofa with her husband. So to be a thriving mom, learn your child's love language and communicate to them in it.